Welcome back. And we now move to auto news. And this is going to be fun. Here's a question for you. 80% of General Motors Buicks, the cars, are actually sold in what country? The answer? China. Surprised the heck out of me. Some say China is what's actually keeping the brand afloat, but new rules, regulations, and the continuing U.S.-China trade war are worrying. Here to discuss is a car coach, Lauren Fix. Lauren, great to have you with us again. Thank you so much for joining us. This is so hard for me to imagine. I owned one of those Buick boats, the old deuce and a quarter. They're not buying those, I'm sure. They're not making them anymore.
No.
What's going on, Lauren?
Well, 64% of the models that they sell in China are only available in that country because, remember, they have a different segmentation. So before they moved GM into China, they actually did a survey to find out that people love the name Buick because some of the ex-officials used to drive Buick. So the Buick brand is a ton of quality when it comes to the China marketplace. Remember, here in the U.S., they've only got a few products, and only 2 of them are selling well. The others not doing so good. But without having China as part of their base, Buick probably wouldn't even exist today.
Crazy. We always talk about those joint ventures, the mandatory joint ventures, the partnerships with the Chinese companies. I assume GM has done this in China too, right?
Yes, they have also done that because I think they have to do it. It's a mandate. So because of that, you have to remember the Chinese government wants you to purchase Chinese product. And although Buick has value with all the tariffs and all the other factors that are in play, it's entirely possible there will be an impact to Buick and General Motors when it comes to China. And they really do need China because, remember, they sell 28 million cars a year. We only sell 17 million here in the U.S. ballpark. So you have to think about, even though they've had a crush against their economy, this is still a bigger market than the United States.
And although that 80% of the Buicks that are being sold in China, are those being manufactured largely either in China or in Asia? They're not being built in North Carolina and being shipped over there, of course. Oh,
that would be so expensive to ship them over there. So if you're building with a partnership in China and you're selling in that country, you're giving Chinese people jobs. Plus you got to remember, the average person that owns a Buick in China is in their 30s. Where here it's almost twice that, although Buick is really trying very hard to try and lower that age range and bring more exciting vehicles in the 30s. If you're 30 years old and you're driving a Buick in China, I guess that means you've got it made.
Oh my gosh! Who would have thought? Lauren, I know there's new news about AAA, the American Automobile Association, and they're talking about something you've actually mentioned this before on the program, but about extreme temperatures in tandem with using heating and cooling systems in cars can cause the lithium batteries to discharge more quickly. I mean, should this new report from AAA concern those, particularly in colder areas, who are thinking about buying an electric vehicle, an EV?
It actually shouldn't. I've talked about this a lot. It lowers the battery life by 41%. That's almost half. So people are saying, well, then I just won't go as far. But you have to remember, Minneapolis, anywhere in Wisconsin, Chicago, Detroit, we had those cold weather all the way across New York, the Northeast, all the way across to the West Coast. Cold weather kills batteries. And I don't care if you're driving an EV or a regular vehicle. If you've ever had a problem with your vehicle not starting in the cold weather, it could be frozen fluids. And you think, oh, there's no fluids when it comes to a battery-charged vehicle. Oh, there's fluids, all right. It cools the battery, and it's ethylene glycol, which is antifreeze, which is also flammable, by the way. That's probably why they have such problems. But looking at the big picture, when you're shortening the life of this type of product, you have to keep that in mind. And I think that's part of the reason why electric vehicles are only 2% of total sales.
Lauren, you are such an abundance of auto information. We love having you on. Lauren Fix, the car coach. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.